Maybe it's best if you don't come this year. Those were my mother's words over the phone, 3 weeks before Christmas. Not, we'll miss you. Not, we wish you could be here. Just a cold suggestion, delivered as if she were doing me a favor. We don't want any drama, Lily. You understand. My name is Lily Sanders, 28 years old, artist living in Chicago, and the official black sheep of the Sanders family from Marietta, Ohio. To my parents, being an artist wasn't a career. It was a phase, a rebellion, a mistake I refused to correct. My older sister, Claire, was a doctor, married to another doctor, 2 perfect children, house in a perfect neighborhood, perfect life. My middle brother, David, was a corporate lawyer, fiancé from a good family, imported car, $3,000 suits. And me. I painted, sold a few pieces in small galleries, lived in a tiny apartment in Pilsen, had a cat named Picasso and bills that sometimes came late. To my family, I was a failure, a disappointment, the daughter who had so much potential and threw it all away. The worst part wasn't that they didn't understand my art. It was that they didn't even try. Never came to a single exhibition. Never asked about my work. When I mentioned a sale or an opportunity, my mother changed the subject. That's very nice, dear. But what about a real job? As if my life were a teenage phase I hadn't outgrown yet. Everything got worse 2 years ago. Christmas 2022. We were all gathered, as always, at my parents' house in Marietta. The Victorian house they loved, with its 10-foot professionally decorated Christmas tree and gleaming white lights that made the entire neighborhood look like a postcard. During dinner, my father made a toast. To Claire and her promotion. To David and his engagement. And then, turning to me with that condescending smile, and Lily, well, we hope this is the year you finally find your way. Find my way. As if I were lost. As if 7 years working as an artist didn't count as a path. I should have let it go. Should have smiled and drunk my wine. But something in me broke. I've already found my way. You just don't like it. Silence fell like a bomb. My mother tried to laugh, smooth things over. Lily, don't be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic. I'm being honest. You treat me like my life is a joke. Like I'm a disappointment because I didn't follow the script you wrote. My father set his glass down hard. We supported you. We paid for your college, which I dropped out of because I was unhappy. And you never forgave me for it. You had a guaranteed future. I have a future. It's just not what you wanted. Claire intervened, always the peacemaker. Lily, no one's saying you're a disappointment. You don't have to say it. It's in every look. In every still painting. In every time you change the subject when I talk about my work. David laughed, a bitter sound. You sell what, 3 paintings a year? And you want us to treat that like a real career? And there it was. The truth they all thought but never said out loud. I stood, grabbing my purse. You know what? You're right. I shouldn't be here. Because real family doesn't make you feel like this. My mother followed me to the door. Lily, wait. You're overreacting. Sit down. Let's forget this. No. I won't forget. And I won't come back. Not until you can respect me for who I am, not what you wanted me to be. I left. Drove the 5 hours back to Chicago crying so hard I had to pull over twice because I couldn't see the road. And I didn't go back. For 2 years, I didn't spend a single holiday with them. In the first few months, my mother called. Short messages, never apologizing, just trying to move forward. As if that night hadn't happened. I responded politely, but never visited, never accepted invitations. And then, 3 weeks before this Christmas, the call. The disinvitation disguised as consideration. Maybe it's best if you don't come. And you know what? Part of me felt relief. Not having to pretend. Not having to endure pitying looks or veiled judgment. But another part, the part that was still 8 years old inside me, yearning for approval, hurt. Hurt like nothing had hurt in a long time. I hung up and sat in my studio for hours, looking at my paintings, wondering if maybe they were right. If maybe I was just a failure too stubborn to admit it. And then my phone rang again. Not my mother. Noah. Noah Reed, director of the Chicago Cultural Foundation. And, for the past 6 months, something more. Something I was still afraid to name. He'd seen my work in a gallery. We met at an opening, talked about art, life, complicated families. He understood. He saw. And slowly, carefully, something bloomed between us. You okay? His voice, always so calm, so present. My mother called. Ah. He didn't need me to explain. Already knew. She said it would be best if I didn't come for Christmas. Silence. Then, and you're going to let it end like that? What else can I do? You could show up. But not the way they expect. What do you mean? Show up. But show up as the person you've become. Not their daughter. The artist. The woman who built a life despite everything. Noah, and take me with you. My heart jumped. Why? Because I want to meet them. And because you deserve for them to see who you really are. Not through their eyes. Through mine. And that's how we decided. I would go home. To Marietta. For Christmas. But this time, I wasn't going as the failed daughter begging for approval. I was going as Lily Sanders, artist. With someone who saw me. Respected me. Loved me, even if neither of us had said it yet. And they were going to have to deal with it. The drive from Chicago to Marietta took 6 hours. Snow fell steadily, coating the highway in white. Noah drove while I sat in the passenger seat, watching the landscape change from city to farmland to small-town Ohio. Tell me about them. Your family. What do you want to know? What made them like this? I thought about it. Tried to find an answer that wasn't just, they're terrible people. Because they weren't. Not really. They were just limited. Trapped in their own narrow view of what success looked like. My parents grew up poor. Like, really poor. My dad worked 3 jobs to put himself through college. My mom cleaned houses to help pay rent. He glanced at me. So they wanted better for you. They wanted safe for us. Claire became a doctor because doctors are respected, stable. David became a lawyer for the same reason. And I was supposed to, I don't know, marry well, have a nice job in an office, play the part. But you wanted to paint. I wanted to create, to make something that mattered, even if it didn't make sense on paper. And that terrified them. I nodded. Because art isn't safe. It's not guaranteed. They see me struggling sometimes and think it proves they were right. But you're not struggling anymore. Not like I was. The past year had been good. Really good. 3 major sales. A commission for a corporate office. An upcoming show at a gallery Noah's foundation partnered with. I wasn't rich, but I was making it work. On my own terms. So tonight, Noah said, they get to see that. If they even let us in the door. He smiled. They'll let us in. Trust me. We arrived in Marietta just as the sun was setting. The town looked exactly as I remembered. Small, quaint, every house decorated with lights and wreaths. It was the kind of place that looked perfect on the surface. My parents' house was at the end of Maple Street. The Victorian with the wraparound porch and the massive tree visible through the front window. Cars lined the driveway. Claire's SUV, David's BMW, my aunt and uncle's sedan. Everyone was there. Just like my mother said. The whole family. Minus me. You ready? Noah asked. I took a deep breath. No. But let's do it anyway. We got out of the car. I wore a deep green velvet dress, elegant but not trying too hard. Noah wore a suit, dark gray, perfectly tailored. We looked good together. Like adults. Like people who had their lives figured out. Even if I felt like a nervous teenager inside. I rang the doorbell. From inside, I could hear music. Laughter. The sound of family being family. The door opened. My mother stood there, holding a glass of wine, smiling, until she saw me. Her face went through several expressions in rapid succession. Surprise. Confusion. Something like panic. Lily. Hi, Mom. Merry Christmas. She just stared. Then her eyes shifted to Noah. Back to me. We weren't expecting you. I know. But I thought it was time. Before she could respond, my father appeared behind her. Who's at the Lily? His voice carried into the living room. Suddenly, everyone was there. Claire, David, my aunt and uncle, David's fiancée Emma. All crowded in the entryway, staring. The silence was deafening. Noah stepped forward, extending his hand to my father with that easy confidence he had. Mr. Sanders. I'm Noah Reed, director of the Chicago Cultural Foundation. It's a pleasure to meet you. My father, caught off guard, automatically shook his hand. Chicago Cultural Foundation? Yes, sir. We work with emerging and established artists throughout the Midwest. Lily is one of our featured artists this season. You could have heard a pin drop. My mother's face was doing that thing where she was trying to process information too fast. Featured artist? Noah smiled warmly, completely at ease in a way I envied. She hasn't told you? Lily's work is being showcased in our winter exhibition. We've had significant interest from collectors. Her piece, Fractured Light, sold for $18,000 last month. I watched my family's faces. The shock. The confusion. The dawning realization that maybe, just maybe, they'd been wrong about me. 18,000. David's voice was faint. For one painting, Noah confirmed. And we have several galleries interested in representing her work exclusively. Claire found her voice first. That's wonderful, Lily. We had no idea. Because you never asked, I wanted to say. But Noah's hand found mine, squeezing gently. A reminder. We weren't here to fight. We were here to show them. My mother recovered her composure, years of hostess training kicking in. Well, this is unexpected, but wonderful. Come in, please. Both of you. She stepped aside. We entered the house I'd grown up in, the house I'd sworn never to return to. But this time everything was different. The house was exactly as I remembered. The same furniture. The same decorations. The professional Christmas tree with its color-coordinated ornaments. The dining table set with my mother's good china. But I was different, and that made everything else seem smaller somehow. My mother scrambled to set 2 more places at the table. Noah, ever gracious, complimented the house, the decorations, the smell of the turkey in the oven. He was charming, effortlessly so, and I could see my family warming to him despite themselves. We sat down to dinner. I ended up between Noah and my Aunt Linda, who kept sneaking glances at me like I was a stranger. The meal began awkwardly. People passing dishes, making small talk, avoiding the elephant in the room, me, the prodigal daughter who'd returned unannounced with a handsome, successful boyfriend. Finally, my father cleared his throat. So, Noah, Tell us more about this foundation. Noah obliged, explaining the mission, the programs, the artists they supported. He spoke eloquently, passionately, and every time he mentioned my work, I saw my family's expressions shift. Pride. Maybe. Or maybe just relief that I wasn't the failure they'd thought. Lily's work is remarkable, Noah said, looking at me with such genuine admiration that my heart squeezed. She has this ability to capture emotion in abstract form. It's rare. Collectors are noticing. My mother cleared her throat. We always knew Lily was talented. We just worried about the financial aspect. I bit my tongue. Worried. That was one way to put it. David leaned forward. So you're actually making money now? From painting? The skepticism in his voice was thinly veiled. I am. Not lawyer money, but enough to live, to save, to build a career. And the foundation supports that. He directed the question to Noah, as if my word wasn't enough. We do, Noah replied smoothly. We believe in investing in artists who show both talent and dedication. Lily has both. Claire spoke up, her voice gentler. I'm sorry that we haven't been more supportive. It was the closest thing to an apology I'd heard in 2 years. I looked at her, really looked at her, saw the exhaustion under the perfect makeup, the tension in her smile. Being the golden child had its own pressure, I realized. Its own cage. Thank you, I said simply. After dinner, while my mother and Claire cleared dishes, my father pulled me aside into his study. The room smelled like leather and old books. Like every important conversation I'd ever had with him. He stood by the window, hands in his pockets, looking out at the snow. You've done well for yourself. I have. This Noah. He seems like a good man. He is. My father turned to face me. I owe you an apology. The words hung in the air between us. I was scared, he continued. When you dropped out of school. When you chose art. I was scared you'd end up struggling like we did. That you'd regret it. So you made me feel like I was making a mistake. Yes. And that was wrong. He looked older than I remembered. Grayer. Tired. I wanted to protect you. But instead, I made you feel like you weren't enough. My throat tightened. I just wanted you to be proud of me. I am. God, Lily, I am. I didn't know how to show it when you were doing something I didn't understand. You could have tried. You could have come to one show, asked about my work, showed interest. You're right. And I'm sorry. Truly. It wasn't everything. It didn't fix 2 years of hurt. But it was something. A start. Thank you, I said. We returned to the living room where everyone had gathered. The fireplace crackled. Christmas music played softly. It almost felt normal. Almost felt like family. Noah stood, raising his glass. I'd like to make a toast. Everyone turned to him. I know I'm the outsider here, the stranger at the table. But I've watched Lily work. I've seen her pour her heart into her art. I've seen her doubt herself, push through fear, create beauty from pain. His eyes found mine. She's one of the bravest people I know. And it's an honor to be here with her. With all of you. He raised his glass higher. To Lily. To family. To finding your way home. Everyone drank. Even David. And then my mother stood, her eyes glistening. I'd like to say something too. The room went quiet. Lily. I told you not to come because I was afraid. Afraid you'd bring up old hurts. Afraid we'd fight. Afraid of my own guilt for how we've treated you. She took a shaky breath. But seeing you now, seeing who you've become, I'm ashamed of how little faith I had in you. Mom, no, let me finish. You were right. 2 years ago, when you said we didn't respect you. We didn't. We wanted you to be someone you weren't. And in doing that, we failed to see the incredible person you are. Tears streamed down her face now. I'm sorry. For all of it. For the doubt. The judgment. For making you feel like you had to prove something to us. I stood, moving to her. She pulled me into a hug, and for the first time in years, it felt real. Later that night, after the dishes were done and the relatives had left, the core family, my parents, Claire, David, Noah, and me, sat in the living room. The fire was dying down. The tree lights twinkled. Outside, snow fell softly. David spoke first. I was a dick. 2 years ago. And tonight. I'm sorry. I looked at my brother. Saw something vulnerable in his expression that I'd never seen before. I was jealous, he admitted. That you had the guts to do what you wanted. I've spent my whole life doing what I thought I should do. And sometimes I wonder if I'm even happy. Emma, his fiancée, took his hand. We've been talking about that. About what he really wants. And what's that? I asked. He smiled ruefully. I always wanted to write. Fiction. Novels. Stupid, right? It's not stupid at all. Claire laughed softly. And I always wanted to work with Doctors Without Borders. Travel. Make a real difference. Instead, I'm in a private practice treating sinus infections. We all sat with that for a moment. The weight of unlived dreams. It's not too late, Noah said quietly. For any of you. My father looked at him. You're right. It's not. He turned to me. Thank you. For coming back. For showing us what courage looks like. Christmas morning dawned clear and bright. The house was peaceful, everyone still asleep. I found Noah in the kitchen, making coffee. Morning, he said, kissing my forehead. Morning. We sat at the kitchen table, watching the sun rise through the window. Thank you, I said, for coming with me. For everything. He took my hand. Thank you for letting me. I think I'm going to start coming home more often. Yeah. Not because I have to, but because I want to. It's different now. He smiled. It is. My mother appeared in the doorway, wrapped in a robe. Coffee. Noah offered. Please. She sat with us. For a moment, we just existed together in comfortable silence. Then she spoke. I was thinking. Your show. The one at the foundation. When is it? February. I'd like to come. If that's okay. My eyes burned. I'd love that. We can all come, she said. Your father, Claire, David. Make a weekend of it. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Later that morning, as Noah and I packed to leave, my father pulled him aside. I couldn't hear their conversation, but I saw my father's expression, serious, then warm. They shook hands. Noah nodded at something my father said. What was that about? I asked as we loaded the car. He asked if my intentions toward you were serious. And what did you say? That they were. Very serious. My heart flipped. Oh. He stopped, turning to me. Lily, I know it's only been 6 months. I know this is fast. But I love you. I've loved you since that first conversation about broken things being more beautiful. I kissed him. Right there in my parents' driveway. In front of the house where I'd grown up feeling not enough. I love you too. From the porch, my mother watched with tears in her eyes. Not sad tears. Happy ones. We said our goodbyes. Hugs that felt real. Promises to see each other soon that I actually believed. As we drove away, I looked back at the house. at my family waving from the porch. You know what? I said to Noah. I think I did ruin Christmas. 2 years ago. I ruined their perfect, superficial, judgmental Christmas. And it was the best thing I ever did. Because this Christmas, this one was real. He squeezed my hand. Merry Christmas, Lily. Merry Christmas. The snow fell gently as we drove back toward Chicago. Toward home. Toward a future that was finally beautifully mine. My name is Lily Sanders, 28 years old. Artist. Daughter. Sister. Girlfriend. The black sheep who came home, not to beg for acceptance, but to show them what acceptance looks like when you give it to yourself first. And that made all the difference.